Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Pony 411. This is day 17 of Everfree Northwest coverage. No,
17.
Wait. No, 3.
Yes.
3. Yeah, it kind of feels like longer than that, though, but...
It does.
But yeah, so, day 3, I'm Nemesis again, and Alca7raz is here, too.
Yep, still here.
So,
still alive.
yeah, surprisingly.
Yep, haven't passed out yet.
Not dropped dead.
Feels like about to, though.
Yeah, so... Yeah, yep, day 3 happened, of course. We're actually back at home base, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, and so gotta go home.
Yep.
Don't want to stay another night and spend more money on a hotel room.
Yeah, that is the downside.
Yeah, so, today was kind of, it's the wrap-up day, so it's a little bit shorter than the other 2 days and whatnot, so.
Things are a bit more quiet.
I guess let's start off with, yesterday we didn't talk about it at all, but, yeah, they had the charity auction. We weren't, either of us were there. They had the live charity auction yesterday, plus they had the silent auction end, and they made 2 big announcements regarding that. One, actually, 3, I should say. One, the Lauren Faust signed community quilt thing.
Yeah, had like 34 different artists involved.
Went for $20,000.
$20,000 alone.
Yeah, so Lauren Faust's name still carries a lot of weight. Surprise.
Yes.
The other piece of information was they raised a total of over. I think they're still counting. They said so over $40,000.
Yep.
That was as of this afternoon. They're still counting. So they've already confirmed over $40,000 raised to go to Seattle Children's Hospital, which is amazing because
it is. It's
I can't remember what it was last year, but this dwarfs it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
So, and another thing was just one person who got, by themselves, their 2 things raised $3,100 by themselves, and that was Leakfish, who you probably heard us talk about a couple times now through the news.
You do tend to talk about her.
I like Leakfish's art a lot.
She does really good art.
So there was that. So charity, lots of money raised, which is awesome.
Yep.
But today we started off. We went to Denny's for breakfast, which was nice. There's 2 Denny's within walking distance, so just go to Denny's, get a Grand Slam, and then go start your day, and hopefully don't pass out at any point. Yeah, I hope you listened to our tips and, saw the tips in the show notes from the con episode from last week and drank a lot of water if you were there.
Yes.
Like I was making sure to do.
A lot of hotels have complimentary water
all over the place.
All over the place. Make use of it.
Yeah, so there's constant stations where just get a drink of water. Just get out of the panel, get some water.
Yep.
Come back from the bathroom, get some water. But the first thing, there was a couple panels. We had to split again because of commitments.
Yep.
So I went to a fanfiction panel about symbolism and other literary devices, and he went to the Meet the Writers panel. So I guess to give me a break from talking, I'm going to let him talk first.
Yep. I went to the Meet the Writers panel. They had 2 of they're the comic writers, not show writers. It was Georgia Ball and Heather Newfer.
Okay, yeah.
Were the writers. They were writers for the comic books, and they were up on stage. But they also brought Tony Fleeks up as well.
Why not?
Because why not?
Involved.
And everyone loves him, too.
Yeah.
So, and it was pretty much your standard run-of-the-mill questions that they give pretty much everyone. How'd you get into this? What kind of things do you do? General questions like that. He avoided the what's your favorite pony question by what's your second favorite pony? So got around that one. But it was pretty cool. They directed whatever questions they could to Tony, but you didn't have that much to say. He was actually up there the whole time doing a commission for someone. Yep. Someone had commissioned him. Some sort of version of Spike where he's possessed by a girl dragon, and so he's pink, and I don't know.
Okay.
He was enjoying himself, so
that's, I guess, the best. I guess if you're enjoying yourself, I guess that means you're doing it right.
Yep.
So neither of us were actually. A side note, neither of us were able to go to Pony Stock last night. It was just
no, it was
late. We were both tired. We didn't get to eat until pretty late, and then I had to stay up editing and whatnot. Yeah. So neither of us got to go. So unfortunately, I heard it was actually pretty good. But I went to the Symbolism and Literary Devices, or whatever it was called, something along those lines panel, and that was actually kind of interesting on a fan fiction perspective. Was basically just talking about symbolism. Just some of it's just things like, I think they opened with the moon smiled, and just talking about what 1,000 things that could mean just from there, and just even within the show, and then how you can use that as a jumping off point for your own fanfics and whatnot. Because like you have the symbolism, just the cutie marks themselves, symbolism, or like Twilight Sparkle's name, or it's Twilight, the time between day and night, and then there's the star, it's a pink star pink star with 5 white stars around it, and then it represents magic, and you notice that magic seems to be represented by stars constantly.
Yeah, that is actually a common theme, not just
although
in
with like
magic.
Trixie, they point out Trixie's cutie mark does not really have stars. It's the moon wand thing, but she uses stars on her hat and cape.
Yeah, that's a pretty common symbolism for magic, is the stars.
So the symbolism in general, just like even dragging symbolism, readers are aware of, even if they're not necessarily canon to Equestria, just the symbolism that people are aware of just because of just culture. And so like we know what the symbolism of like a white dress would mean.
Yes.
Stuff like that. So, and they also, other literary things, like they even talked a little bit about Zecora, just like writers have a real hard time with Zecora in general, is because 1, you got to get her to rhyme, and 2, you got to get the right meter.
Yep, that's
with her. What's the problem is people can do the rhymes usually somewhat easily, but they have a problem with the meter part.
What is it? Iambic.
So you get extremely clumsy rhymes.
Is it iambic that they use for that, or does it change?
I don't remember, but they also, with that, there was because we only have one zebra, you have to make they said they put writers in this uncomfortable position of, or the fandom in the uncomfortable position of having to basically base all the zebra culture off one person, and it's like now it's like.
Yeah, we don't know.
So now we have a whole bunch of interpretations, like why does she rhyme in the first place? And there's been so many, like that's how they all talk. It's just
we do have an official reason for that particular one with the Journal of the Two Sisters. They did it to scare the manticores off.
Yeah, but before that though,
yes.
do all zebras talk like this? They have a whole separate language, and it's just she rhymes because that's their best way to. That's how she remembers how to speak equestrian or something. Or apparently it's like the zebra shamans do it, and only 2 people they respect. And when you lose, like someone was talking about how one fic did it, where there was this pony who did something really horrible or something. Zecora lost some respect for him, and she stopped rhyming at him because of it, because she lost respect. But
interesting.
So symbolism in that regard, like that was symbolic, and it was mostly about symbolism, even though it was supposed to be other literary devices. One person just kind of went on and on about symbolism, even said, yeah, I can sit here talking for an hour.
Yeah.
And even talk about even their names. I said that earlier about Twilight Sparkle, but like just their names alone, like just even beyond the obvious, like Pinkie Pie, it's pink pie, but just the fact that it's very short, bouncy syllables.
Pinkie Pie, yeah.
So it fits her character well, and of course Fluttershy is obvious. She said the one that doesn't really actually totally work is Applejack, but that's a whole.
Well, that's just Apple Family. Everything's got to be Apple.
The problem is it's not really symbolic. It's pretty in your face.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like Applejack at times, but more like Rainbow Dash. But yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of interesting listening to some of this stuff, and just how you can use symbolism. And of course, they're saying don't try to force it, because then what happens is like. They're talking about like the bit in the Discord episode, The Return of Harmony, where Twilight sheds a tear when she was discorded finally, and hits the ground and turns into a broken heart. They're talking about like it's like super blatant and obvious, and everyone, like most people, groan, but for kids, it's for the intended audience. That's a big thing for them. That'd be their first like symbolic thing they ever noticed. Like, whoa.
Yep.
So.
You do have to keep your audience in mind.
But they also said, like, if you try to force symbolism, what happens is you kind of start making these people like, I get it. Like, red means blood. I get it. Let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read a few things that were like that.
So that's what they said, literally. So it was an interesting panel in that regard. And then we had a lot of time to kill because...
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we went to the Equestria Plush panel.
Yep.
Which is, if you don't know who that is, it's a person, equestriaplush.deviantart.com.
There's actually a couple of people that run that thing.
Yeah, it's a family. So, but yeah, basically they sell really nice pony plushes.
Really
but
nice.
Also really expensive. Like I said, these were the people we said yesterday who were selling $500 plus plushies.
Yep. So
yeah, but they had this panel about, well, the process they went through in initially making these and how they got into it and what they do and how to, giving tips to potential plushie makers or existing plushie makers on how to get into it and improve.
Yeah, it was a really cool panel.
Yeah, so, just talking about how they started off as just kind of just a one-off because, what was it,
The primary base around Pinky.
No, I know, but initially, like, how they started off, I'm trying to remember. And who wanted to make it for friends? It was like a niece or a daughter or something.
I think it was a niece.
Something along those lines. I can't remember now.
Her niece wanted to make a couple OCs for her friends.
Yeah, and so she wanted to know how to do it, and so she helped, and and kind of got this thing going, and from there, it's like.
And then I think her son was watching and got involved in it, and then
was watching ponies, and then she
started to get more involved and started seeing all the fandom stuff.
And she started watching the show as well because she said she also watched Gen 1 and 2, although I don't believe Gen 2. I think she was referring to Ponytails, but that's technically not Gen 2. It's weird.
Close enough.
Don't look into it. Don't read too hard into it. You'll
regret it.
Yeah. So anyway. There's basically showing, like, they had a whole bunch of examples of, like, their design process as they're refining their design.
Yeah, that
because
they
started
cool
off with a really, like they said, really 2D looking, very flat plushie. Dimensions are all wrong. But it was the first attempt, so
yeah.
And from there, just keep refining and refining and refining and refining and refining as they go on. She's pointing out all these things that were wrong with each one as they keep getting better.
It was really cool to see the step-by-step, the stages that it went through between the first versions and the current.
They even showed a slideshow of the process of making one. Yeah. Just like, I guess, showing how much she's talking about how she takes her about a week to make the average plush, and like what. Then there, of course, a lot of Q&A about, just people asking questions like what, fabrics, where do you get your fabric, how do you do patterns and all that stuff, because talking about people, they are people who sell patterns.
Yes.
So you can make your own. So I don't recommend. I'm not sure if this person says anything about it, but I would recommend definitely not using someone else's pattern that you bought to make your own to sell. Plus, that's not really.
Yeah,
especially since you're going to wind up looking like a lot of other people. So those patterns are intended for people trying to make their own. Which, cool, do that, but don't try to take someone else's pattern or buy or whatever,
or
and
like
turn around and try to sell your own plushies out of it.
What you could do is like what she said at the panel: buy one of those patterns and make it and work off of it and modify it and use that as a basis on how to learn how to do things.
And,
don't
talk about how
she
was used fleece because that's what she was used to, and then finding out that everyone's using Minky in the plush because she didn't do plushes. She was doing mostly like costumes and stuff. I believe. Yeah,
she usually did costumes and
now she's learning about what's this Minky
such.
stuff. She's finding out about Minky, how it is, and all this stuff, and why it's so common for plushies, and in fact, it's also very expensive.
Yeah, it's very comparatively.
So, but yeah, so. It's an interesting little look into the world of plushie making. Like, they started off with a different kind of eye technique, and then they changed that, and they changed, like, figuring out how to make the mane and tail look good, and so, and even they had a question like, what's the most difficult? Cadence was the.
Cadence.
I was kind of surprised that was the answer, but then when she explained why, it made sense.
Because there's the outlines thing that she does.
Yeah, I'm surprised that she didn't mention the gradient on the wing, because you think that can't be easy.
I don't know how that even works.
Because you have to go that pink to purple gradient, and you have to get that right, or else if you mess it up even slightly, crap, now I gotta start over. And it's it's only wings though, but so it's like they're talking about like wings. That's an after the fact, like the mane and tail, so it's sewed on afterwards. Where I believe horns usually are part of the usually just because it's easy. And talking about the stuffing, what kind of stuffing to use, and she said also easy apparently for her was rarity. I'm not sure if that's the same true for other plushie makers, but yes, that makes sense. That's actually fairly easy. She's got a monochrome mane,
and yet there's the curl that you have to get.
I think that'll be the most difficult part with the curl. But
one thing is the hair on Rarity is flat
but curly.
It's flat curl, which may or may not be easier to sew. It's hard to draw right, but to sew it together.
So there's a lot of people just asking in general, just really nice questions. I'm surprised no one just didn't go for it and just say, why do these cost so much?
Yeah, I think everyone understands at that point.
Well, comes a point where it's like, how do you get to the point where like this can? I'd like to actually hear someone actually justify a full blown. Why? How can you justify charging $1,000 for a plush?
Yeah, that would
justify that.
I would like to hear
I want to see it,
justification on
like, I
that.
want to break, someone needs to do, I think someone needs to do, like, break it down, like, this is what materials cost, this is how long I worked on it, like, someone actually needs to record all that for one plushie so people can really see the process for real.
Yeah, I have seen a couple breakdowns from some of it.
A complete breakdown, like, this is how much, like, she's also talking about, like, what was it, 2 yards per pony or so, usually, of Minky fabric.
Well, that's per color.
Per color, though. Because, well, not per color. It won't be per color, but I think she said 2 yards total.
2 yards, so...
I don't know, something like that. But the problem is you have a lot of excess scraps.
There's a lot of waste.
Because if you have with the cuts out, you have to do so.
Yeah. I have seen some breakdowns by some artists. Yeah. Not from her, but
I just some. Because the problem is, like...
It does add up really quick.
But at the same time, $1,000 often seems like overkill. But then again, she was selling those like Celestia and Luna for $1,400 and so $1,400 and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but she also said smaller is more difficult just because it's smaller.
It's tedious.
Yeah, it's tedious and small. Well, she said the sitting ones are tedious, but the small ones, it's just the problem is it's just so many little crevices, little tiny. You have to get your fingers in and do it. Whereas the larger ones, you have a lot more space.
A lot more room to work.
Yeah. Okay. Then we had the closing ceremony where we had the normal like royal coat speech, which I think he even did the first year.
He
came up speech first year.
He came up on the
but yeah, he's done a speech every closing ceremony.
Yep.
So yeah, he did his little heartfelt, unscripted speech, and then he stepped down. He announced that he's stepping down. So next year, and they also announced next year there is going to be another convention for Everfree, which is awesome. They also announced they hit 2,400 attendees.
2,400 attendees.
Yep, and it's getting bigger, and they had over 100. They had 100 events ish somewhere in the neighborhood. Yep. I can't remember if it said over, but I'm gonna say I remember 100. So
and
around 100 events.
They didn't say how, but they said they
have
more
room.
Space.
I'm not sure how because
I don't know if they found more room,
or
in
they're
the
actually going somewhere else. They didn't say they were going to be in the same location.
Yep, they did not give a location. They gave a date. It's in May.
Late May.
Late May, not
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day weekend. They specified not that weekend.
So and they also had a little skit from the Everfree Northwest trope or whatever they called it.
Yeah, the finishing skit because in the opening ceremonies they have those.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah,
kind of fun, I guess, but a little cheesy at the same time. But
that's
a little part
cheesy,
of the charm.
But
so yeah, that was and they announced the 2 new chairs. I honestly can't. I
can't remember their names.
Yeah, I can't remember the names. It's gonna drive me up the wall. But like I said, we're tired. It's been a long weekend. It was a fun weekend, but it's also been very long. Yeah, so overall, it was a shorter, I guess a little bit shorter day. It was not as filled as most days, again, closing. And we got, just kind of did our last little bits, rounds of just, finishing up, wrapping it all up, getting all sorted out and finished. And got home and recorded for you.
Yep.
And I think we're going to try to do this again next year. Except we're going to try to plan things a little better.
Yeah, we're going to get...
This is our first time recording at the...
Yeah, hopefully we can do a little bit better recording while we're there. And also depends on...
Possibly also recording, and editing faster earlier so I can actually, go to bed and not feel like crap immediately and want to sleep forever.
Yeah. And of course, I'm used to always wanting to sleep forever.
Yeah, it's tiring, but it's fun.
It's worth suffering through the tiredness.
Yeah, so... We had a blast. And that's that.
We're looking at going again next year. We're already
I don't know what they're going to do, but they already said they're going to be more panels and events and stuff, and I don't know if they're going to try to get more guests. I don't know, and because it's now not 4th of July weekend anymore, they can actually possibly do more.
Yeah, they might get more guests, more guests of honor.
Anyway,
maybe.
I guess that concludes our big special thing. So tune in next time. We are not going to be here next weekend. We're going to take a break. We kind of need it, I guess, recharge. It's like after doing 3 episodes in a row, even if they're shorter, it's going to be, ugh. So, yeah, we'll come back in 2 weeks. I think I know, I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about a brony tale, but don't hold me to that. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be trying to do. So hopefully things work out. If they don't, well, something else will happen. Anyway, till then, even if it has to be in a tired, groggy state, please pony responsibly, guys. Bye.